Hi, I'm Steve Pond from TheWrap. We're here at the Toronto Film Festival, and I'm very pleased to welcome Chris Sanders, the director of The Wild Robot. Chris, can you introduce us to some of your amazing cast?
Oh my goodness. Well, behind me is Stephanie Shu. She plays Vantra. Catherine O'Hara plays Pinktail, the possum, and Lupita Nyongo plays Rosm 7134.
This movie is. I was watching it and thinking, wow, this is a really spectacular sequence. And then, like half an hour later, it's like, oh, wait, this is the whole movie, is this spectacular? I mean, it's such a remarkable work of animation in the scale and the heart. But what led you? This was a story, a book, right? And what led you to think, okay, this is my next movie?
Golly, it was just everything that Peter Brown like wrote into his wonderful book. It's a really different kind of story with different kinds of characters and so well suited for animation. Yeah, it had a great emotional I think scale.
I mean, was it going in? Did you know how big it was going to have to look? And the I mean, the scale is just astounding.
Absolutely. I think that we styled the film very purposefully because of, I think, the feeling we all had when we read the book, and I think that to translate it, I think correctly onto screen, it had to look a certain way, and it had to be the sound and the visuals had to be equal to, I think, the story.
Lupita, what made you want to be a part of this?
Well, I read the source material as well, and I was taken by the imagination of it. In fact, when I read it, I just thought, wow, what a classic. And I thought it was written in like maybe like the early 20s or something like that. And then I discovered it was written in 2016. And I was like, wow, this story feels like it's always existed. And the message of it is so um, important. The idea that kindness can be a survival skill is so beautiful and is so well told in such an imaginative way. So I was really keen on the source material. And then, of course, I'm familiar with Chris Saunders' work, and I love what he does, but the world of animation was quite foreign to me still. So for me, what was important was gauging whether we shared the same work ethos, and we did. So
So so do the two of you work together to figure out what a robot who's sort of learning to have a heart would sound like?
yes, sir.
Exactly correct. Yeah, yes.
Yeah, we did it together. I came in with some ideas and I shared them with him. And the good thing about working on an animation is that it takes years. So you have a lot of time to try things out and then throw out what doesn't work and try something else. But what Chris had told me at the beginning was one of the reasons he thought I would be good for the role was that he liked the warmth of my voice. And so the idea that Roz would get to a place of that sort of closer to me, that the warmth that that he says that I have in my voice. And then it was working backwards to figure out where does she start off as a robot that is not programmed with individuality and is quite outside of her comfort zone. So we worked on that and found a more, I guess, two-dimensional sound that she starts off with before she finds that texture through her experience adapting to this wild environment.
Well, Stephanie, you're a different kind of robot because you're a robot who is programmed to sound just so damn sweet all the time, but you're evil. I mean, so what was the approach for you in figuring out the voice there?
Yeah, a lot of kudos and thank yous to Chris because together we wanted to create a villain that wasn't just like a big scary robot. Although no robots sound like that, but we wanted to find something that was so chipper that it was disarming, and you do want to be like, can you make me my toast? But actually, beneath that, there's something sort of scary and not well intentioned. So yeah, it was really fun to kind of be the quintessential factory perfected robot.
Catherine, you have played many characters in your distinguished career, but I assume never a possum before this?
No. No, I have not. I think I've played
so-
a hedgehog. But that's not the same thing.
What are the keys to playing a mama possum?
I guess, because this world and mothering is such a new world for Roz. I guess I was the opposite of that. Somebody who's so used to it and has also given up on the idea of perfecting it. It's just going to be what it is. And you just fake it. You fake your way through it. And, my mother I'm one of 7. My mother faked it very well. So she was good inspiration for me.
Chris, I mean, this is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of the amazing voice cast here. What are you looking for when you're trying to find the actors to bring this to life?
Everybody in our cast took this very, very seriously and adopted their characters and led the way in perfecting them all. You assemble an amazing cast, and then you give direction, but then you get out of the way and let everybody find all the different things that will make their characters special to them, if that makes sense. There's a lot of tailoring during our sessions, and even afterwards. I'll leave every recording session and I'll digest everything that we talked about and everything we discovered in that session. I will apply it to the very next session. So everyone here is so incredibly ingenious and inventive, and I do my best to just get out of the way and let everybody do their thing.
Were there specific sequences in the film that you earmarked going in as, oh, this is going to be a real big challenge to pull this sequence off?
There are some that are maybe technically more complex than others. We have a couple of sequences where we have a oneer, and that was something I'd never done before. And one of the things I learned through that is it's a very effective way of making you feel satisfied that you got a really complete moment, that you really lived that moment, but it's also very efficient time-wise. So the work that goes into it, I learned, is well worth it.
Right. Well, for all of the actors, I just wonder, what's it like to do the work on something like this, and then you finally see your voice used on this enormous canvas? Catherine, I see you're shaking
I'm
your...
just grateful because I had no idea what it was. Chris and Jeff, producer, showed me some beautiful drawings, but I had no idea what I was going to see. And it was a joyful experience working with Chris. Because of his joy in his work and how much he loved the characters. And I just love that there's not one image or one sound that happens by chance in animation. Every single, that's unlike any other kind of film.
Yeah,
just
true.
Everything is meant to be, every single image, every sound. And I just want to see it again because there's so much there and it's really just beautiful. Yeah, just grateful.
Lupita, when you first saw Roz fully fleshed out on screen?
Yeah, the thing about doing voice work for an animation is that it's hard to take ownership of it in the same way you do when you're doing a live action. In live action, you're there when the work is happening. So you have a sense of what it's going to look like, what it might feel like, and all that. But animation is a little bit more disembodied. Obviously, right? The magicians, the animators are off doing their thing and they're doing it, and it's so abstract. Sometimes they show me pencil drawings, and then the next time they'd be colored in a little bit, but it all is just so abstract. And then they say it's finished and you had nothing to do with its finishing, right?
Yeah.
And then they show you this whole thing and it's just alarming how much more has gone into it than the time that you spent in the booth. And it's really humbling because really it is the animators that are the performers here, right? We are lending ourselves to their work. And so there's just a feeling of gratitude to be to be a part of it, you know. And it is astounding what these people have done, and the painstaking work that goes into every single frame, and the fact that it's painted over by human hands, what he created, this technology that DreamWorks created for this particular project. It feels both nostalgic and futuristic, you know. There's something, it's pulling you in both directions, and I think that's what makes it just so overwhelmingly beautiful. And yeah, it's just not one of those things that you can really take credit for. It's just like, thanks for having me, you know.
Chris, I imagine that the animators who are doing all these amazing things are, to a certain degree, playing off what they've been given by these actors.
Oh yeah, 100%. We do have like what we call a lipstick camera running as we record, because they do look for expressions and timing, and there are things that we take away besides just the voice. But it does strike me later, like when every session, I can't imagine when it's like, they watch me leave with their voice in a box and I disappear into the forest, and they, there's a lot of trust involved, and I think we all feel a huge responsibility to do it the best job we can, with that performance that we've been trusted with.
Yeah. Well, it's a spectacular film, so congratulations to all of you, and thanks for joining us here.
Thank you for having
Thank you
me.
so much.
you.